Part 33. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuan-Chi. Chapter 322. Sure enough, Yejiju's concerns were verified, and General Quan said, "Because of the tight time and long distance, we will be forced to take special measures to get you to Tokyo quickly. This method has not been tested yet and there are unknown dangers to you. It doesn't matter, we are willing to try for the sake of all mankind." Yejiju knew what General Quan meant when he heard this. Isn't it just to use rockets and the accelerant made by Herman to send the mecha to the sky and fly to Tokyo? The feasibility of this kind of combustion accelerant has been proven in the play. Where could I still hesitate? I immediately answered the call and expressed my willingness to try it. After his words came out, the remaining mecha hunters also expressed their willingness to try without fear of danger. General Quan and all the staff in the base looked at the mechas standing in the picture with emotion, their eyes filled with admiration for the heroes. General Quan was not a timid person. Since Yejiju and the others agreed, he did not hesitate and immediately asked the transport plane to transport all the mechas back to the base. After all the mechas returned to the base, rockets and accelerants were prepared on the platform of the base for the mechas who were leaving the station. Without any hesitation, Yejiju took the lead on the platform without saying a word and asked the staff to load rockets and accelerants for the mecha. Just when everyone was ready to set off, they saw a group of planes flying in the distance. Looking at the sign, it turned out to be a Shaw Group aircraft. Yejiju knew without thinking that at this time Xiao Liwen already knew that Shaw's drone armor opened the wormhole and released the monster into the earth, and she came to General Quan to remedy the situation. Time is urgent. No matter what the purpose of Xiao Liwen's coming here is, Yejiju doesn't want to stay here and wait for the result. After urging the staff to load all the remaining mechas that were leaving the station on rockets, they waited for General Quan in the command hall to give the order to fire. After Xiao Liwen got off the plane, she led a large group of people into the command hall. Because the external sound function was turned on in the command hall, Yejiju also heard Xiao Liwen's words. "General Quan, I don't know why, but Shaw's drone armor can actually open a wormhole. I'm here to explain this misunderstanding. Sorry, Miss Xiao. I think this is not the time to talk about this issue. The Earth is very dangerous now. I think we should wait until our mechas go to Tokyo and kill those monsters before we discuss it." General Quan's tone was obviously bad, but Xiao Liwen was unwilling to give up and continued. "General Quan, please believe in the strength of Shaw Group. We can help you solve any problem." Seeing that they were going to continue arguing endlessly, Yejiju didn't want Xiao Liwen to make another mistake. After sending out Shaw's drone armor, he ended up becoming the monster's helper, and immediately interrupted. "Miss Xiao, did you know that there are 5 monsters on their way to Mount Fuji? There is already a problem with your drone armor. Until the problem is completely solved, there is no need for you to take action for the time being. General, if time is urgent, please order the ignition." Hearing this, General Quan calmly ordered decisively. "Ignition? Who are you? How dare you talk to me like this?" This was Xiao Liwen's questioning voice mixed in with the sound of lighting the fire after she was interrupted by Yejiju. Yejiju had no time to pay attention to this woman, because the igniter under his feet had been lit. As a large amount of smoke and flames spurted out, Yejiju and the other mechas slowly rose into the air. With the cheers of the staff in the base and Herman's excited fist-clenching yes, the mecha rose higher and higher, directly entering the atmosphere. The mecha was propelled by rockets and accelerants to an altitude of tens of thousands of meters, entered a predetermined orbit, and flew rapidly towards Tokyo. This kind of flying experience is nothing surprising to Yejiju. Don't forget that Yejiju's armor can reach this height. Not only in the Marvel world but also in the mission world, he has tried this experience more than once. But for the other mecha hunters, it was a very novel experience, and a few of them with out-of-character personalities were already shouting in their headsets, At the same time, the five-headed monsters, led by the tallest monster, Thunder Monster, had arrived in Tokyo waters. The Thunder Monster is more than 100 meters tall and weighs an astonishing 3,400 tons. It is a huge level 5 monster. In addition to these physical advantages, its biggest advantage is the deck divided into 4 parts on the head, which can be opened and closed freely. When closed, it can withstand attacks, convert kinetic energy into its own attack power, and strike back at the opponent who attacks it. I have to say that this really has the meaning of the secret technique of repaying the other person with his own way in martial arts novels. The reason why it can become the leader of monsters has a special ability, that is, it can be used as the main body to fuse the white snake and shrike thorns into its body, becoming a supergiant beast with a size of more than 130 meters and a weight of more than 8,000 tons. As for the remaining 2 extra monsters, although they do not have this function, they are still the strongest among the 4th level monsters, and their strength is not weaker than these 3 monsters. When Yejuju's mechas flew over Tokyo, the 5-headed monsters had already landed and rushed into the streets of Tokyo. How terrifying the destructive power of the 5-headed monsters is. Just think about their size of at least 50 meters and the impact force of their weight of 2,000 tons. At this time, countless people were running around in panic on the streets of Tokyo, looking for places to hide. The high-rise buildings on the street were hit and destroyed by the 5 monsters without mercy, not to mention the cars driving on the street, which were even trampled into discus by them without even looking at them. As for the number of people who died as a result, it was a terrible sight. After landing from the air, Yejuju threw the rocket launcher on his body on the ground, took out 2 thermal cutting saws from the space, and ran towards a level 4 monster, the ridge turtle, not far away. At the same time, the system issued a task in time. Congratulations to the host for triggering the final task. Save the world, kill all monsters entering Tokyo, reward experience 30,000, special authority once. Yejuju was not happy about the information of the task, because only he knew that it was easy to kill the headless monsters separately, but how powerful would the monsters be once they merged? Even if he now has the ability of a high-level combat master, it is difficult to deal with it. It is also extremely difficult, and there is no guarantee of victory. During the charge, Yejuju looked at the ridge turtle not far away, and information about this monster automatically emerged in his mind. This monster had appeared in Ring 1, and it destroyed half of Hong Kong Island as soon as it appeared. It is 81 meters tall and weighs 2,100 tons. From the appearance, it is a turtle, but in fact it is more like a gorilla covered with thick armor, and its claws are like a pair of huge hammers, with extremely strong destructive power and attack. In addition, its defense is also the strongest among monsters, and it can withstand huge impact. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, Dachuan-Chi. Chapter 323. In addition to a pair of powerful iron fists, it also has a powerful weapon, which is a luminous organ on its head, which can emit a super strong electromagnetic pulse to attack the target. That's not all. This monster has invincible defense and powerful attack. The most speechless thing is that this monster is the smartest and especially knows the principle of retreating immediately if it misses a hit. It is really hard to deal with. Yejuju quickly compared the monster information he knew in his mind, and he didn't mean to worry about it at all. As for how to kill this monster? Isn't it enough to prevent it from escaping for help? Yejuju thought so and did so. As soon as he rushed into the range of the vortex railgun, Yejuju opened fire on the ridge turtle without hesitation. The horned turtle, who was having a great time playing the game of pushing down, was suddenly attacked by a railgun shell. Although the railgun shell could not penetrate its scales, it hurt it a lot. It turned its head and looked angrily in the direction of the attack. Then it saw the mecha rushing towards it at high speed, and immediately raised its head and howled. After howling, it bent down and grabbed a bus on the ground, and smashed it in the direction of Yejuju. How could Yejuju be hit by such a method? While running at high speed, he lay on his back with his upper body, knelt on the ground, and slid forward at high speed without stopping to approach the horned turtle. Above his head, a 12-meter bus whizzed past 3 meters above his head, flew dozens of meters away and crashed into a building, and then stopped with a boom. Yejuju had already jumped up from the ground, and kicked his feet hard on the ground. The heavy mecha body jumped high into the air, and the thermal cutting saws in his hands roared and rushed towards the ridge turtle. The ridge turtle was obviously very disdainful of this attack method. He raised his head and stared at Yejuju fiercely with a pair of green eyes like searchlights. The light-emitting device on his head began to flash rapidly and condense light. The next moment, the electromagnetic pulse beam shot out from the top of its head and shot directly at Yejuju in the air. Seeing this, Yejuju knew that his plan was successful. The mecha body quickly rolled up in the air, but 2 ice arrows and ice cones with cold air burst out from his hands to meet the electromagnetic pulse. The sound of chi-chi-chi sounded, and the electromagnetic pulse beam met with the ice arrows and ice cones. The energy of the two quickly offset each other, but after a while, both of them consumed all their energy and disappeared in the air. Seeing his attack come to nothing, the horned turtle blinked in confusion, and turned around and ran towards another monster. Is it really a cunning monster? Yejuju, who was in the air, couldn't help but curse, and his body fell to the ground again. It was too late to chase after it. Yejuju really didn't expect that this monster was really a dog, and it would retreat immediately after a missed attack. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. His plan was to consume the horned turtle's only long-range attack method, and then fight in close combat to drag the horned turtle and prevent it from escaping. This is also based on the fact that although the electromagnetic pulse of the horned turtle has a sharp attack, it takes at least a few minutes to gather energy to re-energize it after each launch. But who would have thought that this horned turtle would not give him a chance to fight in close combat and just run away? Since it ran away, Yejuju didn't plan to chase it. After all, what he thought was that he couldn't let the thunder monster merge, so the first thing he wanted to kill was one of the 3 monsters, Thunder Monster, White Snake, and Shrike. Without one of them, how could Newt control the small mechanical monster and combine Thunder Monster with the other 2 monsters? He thought it was simple, but he overlooked a problem, that is, there are not only 3 monsters here, but 5 monsters. Even if he killed any one of the 3, as long as Newt was still there, he could control the small mechanical monster to combine any 3 monsters. The only difference is which monster is the main body of the combined monster. What is this? It is the experience that kills people. Because he knows the plot, Yejuju made such an obvious cognitive error. Therefore, in a world with a known plot, you really can't follow the plot routine, otherwise you will suffer in the end. This is also the truth that Yejuju understood after experiencing this time, so I won't go into details here. As for Yejuju, seeing the ridgeback turtle fleeing, he did not chase it. He quickly searched and found the target, the 4th-level monster Shrike Thorn. This monster is more than 90 meters tall and weighs 2,600 tons. Its attack method has been mentioned in the previous article. It is good at long-range continuous spike shooting, and has claws and tail sweeps at close range. Although its spikes are not very big, they contain extremely high toxicity. Once they hit the driver in the mecha, he will die within a few seconds. In addition to the head, its vital point is its lower abdomen. Not to mention that Yejuju has fought against this monster several times in simulation training. Even if he hadn't, with Yejuju's current ability as a high-level combat master, he could quickly kill it. At this time, the Revenge Wanderer driven by Jack and the others and the Saber Athena, Heroic Protector, Phoenix Gorilla, and Winter Ajax have either singled out or worked together to block the advance of the 5 monsters. On the top floor of a building in the distance, Newt was holding a tablet, excitedly watching the battle between monsters and mechas in the distance. Seeing so many mechas coming to rescue Tokyo, Newt laughed abnormally, as if he was not worried at all that the 5 monsters would be killed by Yejuju and other mechas, making his plan completely fail. Because his tablet showed that a large number of mechas were transported to Tokyo by transport planes. It has to be said that this is an irony. The helmsman of the Shaw group, Xiao Liwen, is too stubborn. She actually ignored Yejuju's previous remarks and transferred the unmanned mechas of the Shaw group to Tokyo. To put it nicely, she wanted to support Yejuju and other mechas. To put it bluntly, she just didn't give up and wanted to let the Shaw unmanned mechas perform in this monster invasion. In order to prove the combat effectiveness and safety of the Shaw unmanned mechas. She didn't know that many of the unmanned mechas were tampered by Newt, and thought that the unmanned mechas that opened the wormhole were just special cases. This is easy to understand. After all, those drones were stored separately in a seaside warehouse, so it was understandable that they were tampered with. However, she strictly controlled the base of Shaw Group and sent them there after having them tested countless times to make sure there were no problems. To put it bluntly, she just didn't want all the hard work of Shaw Group to go to waste. However, she didn't know that her actions would make the already precarious situation even worse. Off topic. Thanks, 1-month ticket support from Passing By. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, Dachuan Chi. Chapter 324. Yejuju, who knew nothing about this, rushed to the Shrike-Thorn, which was fighting against the Saber Athena. It must be said that the driver of the Saber Athena had good combat ability. He was able to dodge the Shrike-Thorn's platoon shooting calmly and was not hit by a single spike. However, it was not so easy for it to rush to the front of the monster to launch an attack. After all, it was not so easy to control the mecha to slide down and slide like Yejuju. I was afraid that I would fall down and slide out, but I couldn't get up in the end. Then I would become the prey of the monster. Since Yejuju had already locked the target of killing the Shrike-Thorn, he rushed straight to the battlefield of 1 mecha and 1 monster. As for the battle next to him, Yejuju just glanced at it and saw that even if the mechas could not defeat the monster for a while, they could protect themselves, so he ignored them for the time being. As soon as he rushed to the front of Saber Athena, Yejuju informed Saber Athena. Athena, go help other mechas kill monsters, and leave this Shrike to me. Hearing this, Saber Athena did not blame Yejuju for taking credit for her work, and retreated after agreeing. The 2 people driving him were the 2 who wanted to teach Yejuju a lesson in the training room, but were defeated by Yejuju alone. They also saw Yejuju's abnormal fighting power in the battle to help the wormhole. Naturally, they were very convinced of Yejuju, so how could they have any complaints? After all, the 2 of them really shot at the Shrike's row of spikes, and there was no way they could do anything. As soon as Saber Athena left, the Shrike's attention was attracted by Yejuju. Facing a mecha that was much shorter than Saber Athena, Shrike-Thorn's eyes flashed with disdain, and with a straight tail, it shot out more than a dozen spikes at Yejuju. Yejuju aimed at the direction where the spikes were coming from, and rushed out quickly and diagonally. After avoiding the spikes, he tilted his body to the right and continued to rush towards Shrike-Thorn at high speed. Seeing that his wave of shooting had no effect, Shrike-Thorn was slightly stunned, and then aimed at Yejuju and shot continuously. Yejuju was highly focused, and relying on his ability to sense danger, he could always change direction in advance. He dodged Shrike-Thorn's 2 consecutive waves of spikes, and was already more than 3 meters away from Shrike-Thorn. At such a close distance, the thermal cutting saw in Yejuju's hand could just reach its body, and he raised his hand and chopped it down in a series without hesitation. Shrike-Thorn's reaction was not slow, and his tail swept across fiercely. The 2 tails, like maces, blocked Yejuju's double slashes with 2 clangs. Feeling the gravity in his hands, Yejuju also sighed at the huge power of the level 5 monster. He was even more surprised that the sharp thermal cutting saw could not cut off the tail of the Shrike-thorn this time. However, the thermal cutting saw was not completely useless, and it still cut 2 wounds on the tail of the Shrike-thorn. Yejuju only understood this when he saw the blue blood falling from the air after the Shrike-thorn retracted its tail. Since the Shrike-thorn was already injured, Yejuju adhered to the principle of taking advantage of your illness to kill you. The hilt of the right hand turned upside down, and while the Shrike-thorn was habitually raising its head and howling when it retracted its tail, the end of the hilt of the right hand hit the Shrike-thorn's chin fiercely with the end of the hilt of the right hand. With a muffled bang, the Shrike-thorn's head was raised high by this blow. Yejuju took the opportunity to lower his body, supported Shrike's body with his shoulders, squatted down into a horse stance, and with a loud shout of awe, his body suddenly rose up. A magical thing happened. Shrike's heavy body weighing more than 2,400 tons was actually lifted up by Yejuju. This was not over yet. Yejuju raised his hands again, holding the thermal cutting saw with both hands and pressed them against Shrike's chest and abdomen. With another effort, he really flipped Shrike's body over. Not to mention that this move really shocked Nude, who was watching the battle from a distance. They all had some doubts that the power of Yejuju's single-person mecha exceeded several thousand tons. In fact, this was his misunderstanding. The reason why Yejuju could carry Shrike was because of the force, which was the reason for 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds in martial arts. After all, Shrike's chin was hit hard, causing his entire head to tilt back. Its own backward force caused its body to become unstable, and Yejuju used the force to flip it over, which made it easy to do. As for the increase in power brought to Yejuju by the mecha, it was naturally not that huge, but the mecha's own power was still good. Let's not talk about these first. Since Yejuju had flipped the Shrike-thorn over, how could he hold back? A pair of thermal cutting saws quickly turned over, and the red blade stabbed fiercely into the Shrike-thorn's unprotected lower abdomen. 2 consecutive puchi-puchi sounds of sharp blades entering the flesh sounded, and Yejuju also started the teeth on the thermal cutting saw to rotate at high speed. The high-speed rotating teeth fiercely tore 2 huge wounds that crossed each other in the Shrike-thorn's abdomen. A large amount of blue blood spurted out from the wound in the Shrike-thorn's lower abdomen like a fountain, splashing more than 10 meters high. Yejuju also pulled out the thermal cutting saw and quickly retreated 20 meters away. As soon as he left the range of the blood splatter, a large amount of blue blood came down like rain, covering the area within a radius of 15 meters. The poisonous blood fell on the ground, and the buildings and vehicles were instantly corroded by the blood, bubbles kept coming out, and the unpleasant smell filled the space of dozens of meters. At this time, the Shrike-thorn also let out a miserable howl of "Aowu, Ao." After a while, he collapsed on the ground and lost his life due to excessive blood loss. Wow! So powerful! It's really beyond my expectation. Seeing Yejuju kill the Shrike-thorn, Nude exclaimed. He was not worried at all that Yejuju would help other mechas kill the light monster. Because the monster's helpers have come. There are at least 10 unmanned mechas in the sky in the distance, and they are flying closer and closer, and they are about to reach the battlefield. Yejuju also received a notice from the Red Queen at the same time, knowing that there are many transport planes in the sky in the distance, dragging steel cables to bring 10 unmanned mechas. After receiving this news, Yejuju's face was so dark that water almost dripped out. He really didn't expect that Xiao Liwen would actually help the enemy at this time. Yes. It is to aid the enemy. Only he and Nude know that almost all of Xiao's unmanned mechas have been secretly installed with monster brains by Nude. Once these mechas come to Tokyo, they will not only not help Yejuju and his team, but will bring them huge troubles. Unfortunately, even if he wants to stop it now, it is impossible. Since Xiao Liwen sent these mechas, he should not think of stopping them before the mechas have problems and rebel. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, Chi. Chapter 325. Fortunately, he still remembered that in the play, Xiao Liwen still had a backup plan on the mecha, and as long as it was successfully activated, it would destroy these mecha systems, which is where the monster's brain is located. Yejuju could only remind Xiao Liwen after something happened. Putting Xiao's unmanned mecha behind his head for the time being, Yejuju rushed to the 5th level monster Thunder Monster at high speed, which is also the main body of the combined super monster. In Yejuju's opinion, as long as he killed this monster, he would see what Newt could use to combine. At this time, the one fighting with the Thunder Monster was the Revenge Wanderer driven by Jack and Nathan. When Yejuju saw it, it was the Revenge Wanderer who punched the Thunder Monster's head hard. The Thunder Monster, which was punched, had blue lines all over its body starting from its head, and then the blue light gathered on one of its claws. This claw swept towards the body of the Revenge Wanderer at a lightning speed. With a bang, the Revenge Wanderer was swept away by this grab. Seeing this scene, Yejuju also had a headache. Facing this kind of monster that can return the favor, Yejuju also had a feeling of having no place to start with force. Yejuju carefully recalled the information about the Thunder Monster in his mind, hoping to find the weakness of the Thunder Monster to kill it. Fortunately, Yejuju's brain is now comparable to a memory access device, and he quickly found the information about the Thunder Monster on the internet in the future. Thunder Monster, Level 5 Monster. Height, 3 meters. Weight, 3,405 tons. Attack method, Electric Shock Predator. Nirvana, Electric Jaw, Deformed Skull, Crushing Bite. Weakness, when the 4 jaw bones are opened, the fragile internal brain cavity tissue will be exposed, which can be easily killed. Yes. It is the 4 hardest jaw bones, which are also its most vulnerable place. After finding this information, Yejuju also had a plan in his mind, and when he was about to implement it. But he heard the roar of the plane engine in the sky, and when he looked up, it was the Shah's unmanned mecha that arrived above the battlefield. Bad luck. Yejuju cursed in a low voice, and then the steel cable hanging the mecha broke, and 10 unmanned mechas fell straight down from the sky. Boom boom sounds rang out one after another, and all 10 mechas fell to the ground. Before the smoke and dust had dispersed, the 10 mechas had stood up together and walked out of the range covered by the smoke and dust. The eyes and chest drives that had originally been without light all lit up. At this moment, something strange happened. But Newt, who was watching the battle from a distance, had already activated the command hidden in the system, and the 10 mechas were all controlled by the monster brain. The heads of the 10 mechas twisted strangely, with the sound of bang bang creaking. Black substances emerged from the gaps in the bodies of the 10 unmanned mechas. The hands and feet of the mechas turned into sharp claws of monsters, and their eyes turned scarlet. Yejuju cursed shit, and immediately connected to the base and said, "General, there is a problem with these 10 unmanned mechas. They are exactly the same as the unmanned mechas that opened the wormhole. Please ask MS Xiao to shut down these mechas quickly. Otherwise, we will not be able to stop the monsters from advancing towards Mount Fuji." Yejuju had just finished speaking when something even more speechless happened. The remaining 4 monsters, the Thunder Monster, the White Snake, the Ridge Turtle that escaped before, and another level 4 monster actually gathered together. A monster guarded one direction and actually formed a defense circle on the spot. Seeing this situation, Yejuju suddenly had a bad premonition. Although he had no time to check the surveillance in Tokyo, the Red Queen had already told him through the surveillance in Tokyo that a large number of small mechanical monsters were swarming towards the battlefield. These little things were extremely fast, and they rushed through several kilometers in the blink of an eye. It seemed that they would rush to the battlefield in a few seconds. It really rained on a rainy night. Yejuju wanted to kill the monsters before they merged. But time did not allow it, because the 10 mechas controlled by the monsters' brains had already rushed towards them. Judging from the driving, they were going to stop their 5 mechas and prevent them from stopping the monsters from merging. There was no other way. Before Shaolin shut down these mechas, Yejuju had to bite the bullet and stop all these monster mechas, so that the remaining 4 mechas could stop the super monster. Thinking of this, Yejuju rushed towards the 10 monster mechas with a mecha and informed Jack and others. The situation is critical. I will stop these 10 monster mechas. You find a way to stop the 4 monsters. After the voice fell, under the gaze of the other mecha pilots, Yejuju drove the mecha alone and rushed towards the 10 monster mechas without hesitation. In their opinion, Yejuju driving a mecha against 10 monster mechas alone was a complete act of seeking death. Although they were very moved by Yejuju's act of sending himself to death, no one laughed at him, because Yejuju was using his life to win time for everyone to kill the monsters. But who knew that the reason why Yejuju had the courage to do this was because he had upgraded to the ability of a high-level combat master. He believed that with this ability, even if he could not kill all the 10 monster mechas, he could survive the siege of 10 mechas safely. Otherwise, Yejuju is not so great that he is willing to die for this world. In the base, seeing the changes in the 10 drones after landing in Tokyo from the surveillance screen, Herman shouted in horror. It's them who opened the wormhole and released those monsters. Oh my God, Ms. Xiao, you are committing a crime, you are helping the monsters destroy the Earth, you. Before he finished his words of blame, he was interrupted by the calm General Quan. Shut up, Professor Herman, I believe Miss Xiao is unaware. Let's not blame anyone at this time. I still hope that Miss Xiao can shut down these 10 drones as soon as possible, as Ye said. Okay. After saying that, General Quan looked at Xiao Liwen, who was a little flustered and confused at the moment, with a serious expression, and asked. What do you think? Miss Xiao? Xiao Liwen's heart jumped when she saw the look in General Quan's eyes, and she also reacted. While picking up the tablet in her hand and clicking on the app on it, she said anxiously. Yes, I am trying hard, please give me some time. In Tokyo, Yejuju has been fighting with 10 monster mechas, but because he has to stop all the monster mechas, he can't let go and deal with 1 or 2 monster mechas with all his strength. It made him flustered. He blocked this one before he could kill it, and he had to block another monster mecha that was about to rush past him. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 326. The reason why this happened was because of Nude. The order he gave to these monster mechas was to entangle all the mecha warriors and let the combined monsters continue to head to Mount Fuji and destroy the Earth. Therefore, these 10 monster mechas did not unite to kill Yejuju because Yejuju came to stop them. Instead, they wanted to break through Yejuju's obstruction and attack the remaining 4 mechas driven by Jack and the others. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Seeing that Yejuju had really blocked 10 monster mechas by himself, Jack and the others gritted their teeth and rushed towards the 4 monsters staying together. Pity. It's still too late. Countless small mechanical beasts have gathered from the streets of Tokyo to the feet of the 4 monsters, climbing up their legs and onto their bodies. Then, a horrifying scene happened. The small mechanical beasts that climbed onto the bodies of the 4 monsters used their sharp teeth to tear the bodies of the 4 monsters apart into several pieces. I don't know where these small unloading beasts got such great power, and they were able to quickly merge the torn monster bodies together in a very short time. Jack and the others all stared at the scene in shock, their eyes filled with disbelief. Yejuju took the time to see the scene and couldn't help but cursed loudly in the headset. Damn Jack, are you all dead? Don't you know how to attack them while they are still and not let them die? Huh? Oh. Let's do it now. Waken up by Yejuju's angrily scolding, the 4 mechas moved together and launched a long-range attack on the 4-headed monsters that were merging. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. Pity. Yejuju thought of things too simply, and he didn't know why. No matter what kind of attack Jack and the others attacked, whether it was cannonballs or missiles, the bombardment on the body of the four-headed monster had no effect at all. It was as if there was an invisible energy shield surrounding the bodies of the four monsters, blocking all attacks from the four mechas. Yejuju was tired of dealing with the impact of 10 monster mechas when he heard Jack's horrified voice shouting, "Oh, no. Yeah, we can't attack those four monsters, what should we do?" Hearing this, Yejuju knew that Jack and the others were afraid of this unknown situation. He sighed and did not want Jack and the others to lose their morale, so he said, "Jack, don't lose confidence, I believe this situation will never last long. Just wait and see. Maybe we can attack in a while." After finishing speaking, Yejuju did not forget to add, "Don't forget, we are humanity's last line of defense and hope for survival. No matter what problems we encounter, we can never give up. Clear?" "Yes, we understand." All the mecha pilots answered loudly. Obviously, at this moment, all the old mecha hunters regarded Yejuju as the battlefield commander. Completely convinced by his words. Seeing the 10 monster mechas still jumping around and rushing left and right, trying to break through his own blockade, it became increasingly difficult for him to stop him. Yejuju became anxious and couldn't help shouting into the headset, "General, haven't Miss Xiao turned off these damn mechas yet?" In the base, General Quan and everyone were also anxious, and Xiao Liwen was sweating profusely while operating the tablet in her hand. Beside her, Herman was holding a cane and anxiously urging, "Quick!" Xiao Liwen glared at Herman in her busy schedule, then lowered her head to operate the tablet and said, "Just the last few procedures. Just wait." In the Tokyo battlefield, Yejuju was still unable to completely block 10 monster mechas. 4 monster mechas broke through Yejuju's blockade and rushed towards the Revenge Wanderer and other 4 mechas without stopping. There was no other way, Yejuju had no choice but to remind everyone. 4 monster mechas are coming. You Quandian, kill them so you can intercept the 4 monsters. After saying that, Yejuju could finally free his hands to fight the remaining 6 monster mechas. After all, he might not be able to stop all 10 monster mechas, but he was still confident of killing all 6 monster mechas. At this time, Yejuju held a thermal energy cutting saw in each hand, and his huge mecha body moved nimbly among the 6 mechas. With flexible movements that ordinary people cannot imagine, he performs various difficult dodges and jumping movements to fight back. They even used the opportunity of the monster mechas to block each other and dealt a heavy blow to the monster mechas. After a while, a monster mecha was killed by Yejuju's sword inserted into its head because it blocked the support of the mecha from behind. On the other side, the 4 Revenge Wanderer mechas were also blocked by 4 other monster mechas, and the 4 monsters also ended their integration at this time. Yejuju had no time to be distracted here, but when Jack and others saw the appearance of the combined monster, they couldn't help but exclaimed, "Ah! The monster turned into one. Oh my god, is this still a monster? Are there such huge monsters in the world?" Hearing the shouts of his teammates, Yejuju couldn't help but his heart skipped a beat. He took the time to look back and saw the appearance of the combined monster. You! How do you kill this?" Yejuju couldn't help cursing, and turned back to continue fighting with the 5 monster mechas that besieged him, while urging Xiao Liwen to shut down the monster mechas quickly in the headset. Because the combined super monster has already taken heavy steps and crawled towards Mount Fuji. Yes. It crawls on all 4s. The current super monster is even more terrifying than what you see in the movie. It is at least 150 meters tall, weighs at least tens of thousands of tons, and crawls on the ground for at least 130 meters. Its huge size gives it super strong defense and combat power, but also slows down its speed accordingly. But even so, every step it crawls will be more than 50 meters. And how high is Mount Fuji? Only 63 meters, how long will it take for the monster to climb? Looking at its appearance, it is still mainly thunder monster, and its huge head looks like a lizard head that has been mutated and enlarged countless times. The entire head was wrapped in a thick carapace, revealing only a pair of eyes that flashed blue light, and a mouth full of sharp fangs. Yejuju knew without even trying it himself that this carapace must be very hard and could not be broken by ordinary weapons. Next to its main brain, there were 4 slightly smaller heads. All of them were hidden in the carapace on its neck, and only occasionally appeared when the giant beast was moving, and it could vaguely be seen that they were the appearance of the 4 monsters before. And when it was moving, it did not see any movement, but just crawled straight forward, but it crashed all the buildings and vehicles along the way. From this, we can imagine how terrible its power and physical strength are. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, Dachuan. Chapter 327. Yejuju was anxious and wanted to intercept, but unfortunately he was entangled by the remaining 5 monster mechas and couldn't get away. Not only him, but also the other mechas such as the Avenger Wanderer. Yejuju could see that Jack and the others were also anxious and wanted to get rid of the entanglement of the monster mechas and rush up to intercept the super monster. Seeing that the super monster was about to climb to the foot of Mount Fuji, Yejuju didn't care so much. Taking advantage of the gap in the battle, Yejuju released all the mechanical creatures that had been transformed by the deformation elements from the space. As soon as they came out of the space, the mechanical creatures that had been transformed by the deformation elements all merged under Yejuju's command. Seeing this scene, General Quan, Ma Zi, and others were all shocked and stunned, with a look of disbelief on their faces. This was very hard for everyone to understand. The 4 monsters combined before, although bizarre, always made everyone understand. The monsters could combine because of the countless small mechanical beasts, which finally made the 4 monsters combine. But what is the principle of the mechanical creatures that Yejuju conjured out of thin air to combine together? Without any external force, they merged together unscientifically and turned into a 10-meter-long mechanical 2-headed dragon. And a 3-headed, 15-meter-long mechanical dog. This is not over yet. The mecha that has been parked in the base and no one can drive except Yejuju also moved and rushed out of the warehouse. The speed was so fast that the staff in the base had no time to react, and the mecha had already gone down to the sea by itself. Naturally, after receiving the notice from the Red Queen, the general activated himself and rushed to Tokyo to meet Yejuju. When someone reported this news to General Quan, Quan Jinjun took a thoughtful look at the 2-headed dragon and 3-headed giant dog who were helping Yejuju kill those mecha monsters, and then understood something and signaled the staff not to care about the mecha. In General Quan's opinion, the reason why the mecha moved was because of Yejuju. As for the reason, it is not possible to investigate at this time. And if you want to find out, it is also very simple. Wait until the global crisis is resolved, and then ask Yejuju. Yejuju doesn't care whether it will shock the world or not, and doesn't think about whether the appearance of these mechanical creatures will bring trouble to himself. At most, once the mission is completed, he will put away all the mechanical creatures and return to the Marvel world. I still don't believe it, there are still people who can follow me through time and space to the Marvel world to find me. And looking at the situation in front of him, if he doesn't use these trump cards, he will never be able to complete the task. Don't look at the super monster in the play, Jack used the mecha and the gravity of falling from the atmosphere to kill it. Diamond suit. But this time is different. Yejuju really can't figure out whether the gravity of the mecha falling from the atmosphere can kill the super monster. Maybe, at the last moment, he has to rely on his own ice ability to kill the super monster. You know, Yejuju's ice ability comes from the artifact of the Marvel Ice Giant clan, the Ice Box. And the ability of the Ice Box is to freeze everything. Although these monsters are alien creatures and are not afraid of ordinary ice and fire, the ability of magic itself is not so easy to explain. What if it can? Even if it doesn't work in the end, Yejuju is sure that after sacrificing some mechanical creatures or even mechas, he can find a chance to kill the super monster. Because, judging from the data summarized by netizens in later generations, the so-called super monster is just a combination of several monsters. The change itself is not so unsolvable. At least, netizens think. The heads of the super monster are not invincible. As long as these heads can be killed one by one, it is equivalent to killing the combined monster in disguise. And Yejuju is the best at this kind of thing. Don't forget that Yejuju has a weapon far stronger than the thermal cutting saw in his hand, the ice knife condensed with ice power. As long as it can be inserted into the monster's head, Yejuju believes that no monster can resist the ice magic energy on the ice knife and will not be frozen to death. And the premise is to get rid of the 5 monster mechas that block him first. Yejuju was forced to release his mechanical creatures just to grab some time. In his opinion, it has been so long, and Xiao Liwen has not shut down the monster mechas. It must be Nude who is playing tricks. Xiao Liwen is unreliable, so let's do it by ourselves. But he didn't expect that Xiao Liwen, who had been forbearing and not exposing her trump card, could not shut down these monster mechas. When he released his trump card, Xiao Liwen successfully shut down all the monster mechas at this moment. Just when Yejuju was about to kill a monster mecha with the help of the mechanical 3-headed dog, the heads of all the monster mechas twisted strangely. Then, all the monster mechas that were fighting stopped attacking, and finally their heads shattered and died with a crisp explosion. Cao. Yejuju couldn't help but curse, but he didn't have time to stay there and complain. He took a step and chased the super monster that had climbed up the waist of Mount Fuji. When Jack and others were still in a daze, they saw Yejuju running towards Mount Fuji with a mechanical creature they had never seen before, and they also reacted and followed closely. Nude, who was watching the battle from a distance, also frowned at this time. Unexpectedly, Xiao Liwen also left a backup plan in the drone armor, causing his plan to fail again. However, he wasn't worried either. Because he believed that the strength of the combined super beast was beyond what a few mechas could handle. The super beasts don't even need to stop their progress. They can just climb to the crater and commit suicide to end the planet. Yejuju's speed far exceeded the mechas of Jack and others. The mechanical 2-headed dragon was a flying creature and had already flown up Mount Fuji. It hovers back and forth over the super monster's head, spraying flames and electromagnetic pulse beams from time to attack the monster's head. Faced with such an attack, just as Newt thought, the super beast continued to climb towards the top of the mountain unhurriedly, without even raising its head to take a look at the mechanical 2-headed dragon attacking it. It's like an elephant that doesn't pay attention to the flies bothering it above its head. Even this fly has some attack power. But it doesn't even feel painful, so why waste energy on it? Yejuju hurriedly and slowly caught up with the super beast in front. Seeing that the mechanical 2-headed dragon had no way to deal with the super beast, he frowned, but Yejuju rushed in front of the super beast. Across the heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 328. With his hands spread out, the icy energy gathered in his hands and formed 2 ice blades. With his hands together again, the 2 ice blades merged into a huge 10-meter-long ice blade. Of course, a 10-meter-long ice blade was nothing more than a toothpick in the eyes of the giant beast. Still, without even looking at Yejuju, he climbed slowly towards Mount Fuji. Yejuju was not only not concerned about the giant beast's neglect of him, but was also very happy. He jumped up and grabbed the bulge on the giant beast's body, and climbed to the giant beast's head as nimbly as a monkey. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. This time, the giant beast finally reacted a little, but it only hesitated for a moment, and continued to climb to the top of the mountain. In the behemoth's cognition, with Yejiju's attack power, it was a question whether he could split the shell on his body. Even if you climb onto my head, it doesn't matter, as long as I climb into the crater, everything will be over. Unfortunately, it underestimated the destructive power of the ice knife in Yejiju's hand, and it was destined to suffer a great loss. Yejiju climbed to the neck of the behemoth, holding the scales on the neck of the behemoth tightly with one hand, holding the ice knife in the other hand, staring at the neck of the behemoth without blinking. The opportunity has come. As the behemoth took a step, the scales on its neck began to move, revealing the head of a monster, which was the head of the white snake with lava-like patterns. There was nothing to hesitate. Yejiju raised the ice knife in his hand and thrust it down fiercely. The ice knife was fiercely stabbed into the head of the white snake through the gap between the patterns by Yejiju. A series of sounds of puff, chi-chi-chi rang out, and a large amount of water vapor emerged. The head of the white snake was instantly wrapped in a layer of white frost, and then instantly turned into a head wrapped in ice. Ah! A huge roar like a bomb explosion came from the mouth of the giant beast. The eardrums of Yejiju, who was still wearing the armor in the mecha, were shaken, and his head was dizzy. Fortunately, Yejiju's hand was strong enough to avoid being shaken to the ground by this sound. The giant beast felt pain and naturally stopped moving forward. The huge head was raised and swung quickly like a dog, trying to throw Yejiju off his head like a louse. How could Yejiju be thrown off easily? He held the scales of the giant beast tightly with one hand, and the body of the mecha was like a swing, being swung back and forth by the giant beast. At this time, Jack and others also drove mechas to catch up. Seeing Yejiju being thrown around by the giant beast, several people couldn't help but gasp. They knew that except for Yejiju, none of their mechas could avoid being thrown out in such a strong swing. However, they were also brave warriors. They dispersed tacitly to surround the giant beast and attacked it. Unfortunately, the mechas of several people were not good enough to deal with the level 5 monster, and they were even less powerful against the current giant beast. Just as the giant beast thought, the attack power of the mecha was not enough to break the defense of the giant beast. Even the attack method of the strongest mecha, the Revenge Wanderer, had no effect in front of the monster. Look, the elastic slingshot that the Revenge Wanderer had repeatedly made achievements, although it entangled the front paws of the giant beast, but no matter how hard the Revenge Wanderer tried, he couldn't pull the body of the giant beast. It was like this, so the attacks of other mechas were even more imaginable. Whether it was missiles, electromagnetic blasts, railgun shells, or chain hammers, they only left sparks and smoke on the surface of the giant beast. Yejiju took this opportunity and saw the right time to kill the head of another level 4 monster that he had never seen before. The giant beast that lost 2 monster heads seemed to have suffered great damage. While howling in pain, its body instinctively fell to the side and rolled on the ground, trying to use the weight of its body to crush Yejiju to death. Unfortunately, Yejiju was not a decoration hanging on its head. When it turned sideways, Yejiju noticed its intention and had already prepared for it. As it rolled, Yejiju, with amazing reaction and speed, ran on the monster's rolling body, just like stepping on a rotating log or running on a treadmill. It was extremely easy and dangerous to run on its body in place. Even in the middle of the process, he would use parkour jumping movements to jump over the hard protrusions on the monster. This scene made everyone in the base who watched through the video speechless. There was no way, Yejiju's operation was really a flee, and no one could think of using this method to avoid the crushing attack of the giant beast. However, why did Yejiju's movements look so smooth and pleasing to the eye? Even if it wasn't for the wrong occasion, everyone would have the urge to cheer for Yejiju. This was the unanimous thought of everyone after seeing Yejiju's actions. Not to mention that these people were shocked. Even the mecha hunters who had finally dodged the rolling of the giant beast were shocked and admired. If it wasn't for the wrong time and place, I believe they would applaud and cheer for Yejuju's operation. Not only did the rolling of the giant beast fail to kill Yejuju, but also because of the slope of the mountain, it rolled down from the middle of the mountain and returned to the bottom of the mountain. Although the body of the giant beast brought up countless ice, snow, branches, stones, and mud that splashed all over the sky, it did not hurt Yejuju at all. When the giant beast stopped rolling, Yejuju had already stood on the top of the giant beast's head. Looking around, Yejuju did not see any gaps on the giant beast's head. The idea of killing the giant beast's main brain with one knife could not be realized, so he had to set his sights on the two monster heads on the other side of the giant beast's head. The remaining two monster heads were also the most difficult to kill. One was the head of the thunder monster with 4 jaw bones, and the other was the ridge turtle with a hard shell and the strongest defense. Before Yejuju could take any action, the giant beast moved again. This time, the beast changed its attack method. It howled and raised its upper body. The two huge front claws, with a whirring sound, grabbed Yejuju on the top of his head. Yejuju felt the wind above his head and his body reacted instinctively. On the beast's broad head, he ran and rolled to dodge the beast's 3 consecutive claw attacks. Afterwards, the beast seemed unable to bear its own weight and fell back to the ground after 3 claw attacks. Seeing this scene, Yejuju couldn't help but sneer in his heart. There was no fear of the beast anymore. Such an opponent really posed no threat to Yejuju. What if he had a huge body, strong attack, and invincible defense? If he couldn't hit himself, he would be just a target. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, Dachuan. Chapter 329. The beast was also extremely helpless at this time. What can it do? You said that the enemy was within the range of long-range attack, but you have to know that the beast has the abilities of 4 monsters, so it has many long-range attack methods. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. But it was to blame for underestimating Yejuju and not launching a long-range attack to kill Yejuju when it saw Yejuju. In addition, its melee ability is naturally not weak, but it's a pity that Yejuju didn't give it a chance and found its weakness as soon as it came. It has been entangled with it, making it have a huge force but can't use it. Who told Yejuju to be so flexible and cunning? No matter what method it uses, it can't get Yejuju off it, right? In fact, this is also Yejuju's luck. In the battle on the streets of Tokyo, Yejuju took the lead in killing Shrikethorn, which was the most correct decision Yejuju made. You have to know that it is not so easy for Yejuju to stay on the giant beast with the combined super beast of Shrikethorn. The combined giant beast will still inherit the monster's attack methods and body shape. In other words, if Shrikethorn is still in the combined giant beast, the 2 tails that can sweep and shoot spikes like maces are still there. No matter how capable Yejuju is, it is impossible for him to stay on the giant beast's head under the 3 attacks of the tail sweeping and shooting spikes and the giant beast's claws. Rightward arrow. As for the other 4 monsters, although they also have tails, they can only sweep 180 degrees on the plane at most, but they cannot bend above the head to attack Yejuju. So, with this combination, the giant beast really has no threat in Yejuju's eyes. Perhaps, if the giant beast had not cared about Yejuju killing the 4 monster heads and continued to climb to the top of the mountain, it might have really been able to climb into the crater before Yejuju completely killed it. In this case, even if the giant beast finally died in Yejuju's hands, the monster's blood could flow into the crater, reacting with rare elements and burning violently to destroy the entire Earth. But when it instinctively rolled over and crushed Yejuju, it was destined that it would never have the chance to climb into the crater again. Just when the giant beast had no way to deal with Yejuju, Jack and others also drove the mecha back to the bottom of the mountain. Watching Yejuju climbing mountains and ridges on the giant beast's head like a nimble ape, the giant beast lifted its upper body again and again in vain, and used its huge claws to hit Yejuju in vain. All the mecha hunters had an illusion that this giant beast was really nothing. What a pity. Illusions are illusions after all. No matter who they are, they can't do what Yejuju did. Yejuju can do this because of his own super high physical fitness, which can ensure that he can survive the attack of the giant beast. It is also because of his super high spirit that gives him a keen sense of danger, so that he can dodge the claws of the giant beast again and again. Finally, it is the most critical. Only the mecha that has been taken as a mount by Yejuju can be controlled by Yejuju with his mind without distraction. The difference between the two seems to be only 2 words, but the difference is not a little bit. In a word, in this world, only Yejuju can force such an invincible giant beast to play with it like this. Not surprisingly, Yejuju went down from the head of the giant beast to the left side of the head of the giant beast. Under the watchful eyes of Jack and others, the head of the thunder monster, which is relatively simple, was killed and frozen into a lump. The giant beast howled miserably again, and this time the howl was the loudest. If Yejuju's spirit was not high enough, he would have been shocked into a trance by the howl of the giant beast. Not to mention Yejuju, even Jack and others who were far away from the giant beast, didn't they see that they were all staggering in the howl of the giant beast? In fact, the giant beast was also very sad. Even if there was no fusion of Shrike-Thorn, it shouldn't be so tragic that it had no way to deal with Yejuju. Don't forget that among the monsters it fused, the most powerful one is the Thunder Monster, and the Thunder Monster's strongest ability is to absorb and transform the enemy's attack energy to increase its own attack power. But because Yejuju's attack methods are all the weaknesses of the giant beast and the 4 monster sub-brains, it can be said that it has never launched even a real attack on it, which makes it impossible for the giant beast to transform Yejuju's attack into energy and counter-attack Yejuju. Otherwise, once Yejuju used extraordinary means, the giant beast would not only hit Yejuju head-on. Even if the giant beast converted all of Yejuju's attack energy to its head and hit its head hard on the ground, the impact force caused by the collision would cause Yejuju to be seriously injured even if he was not killed immediately. And the energy converted by Jack and others when they attacked the giant beast's body was also consumed when the giant beast rolled down the mountain. This is why Yejuju can stay on the giant beast's head safely. It's a pity. It's too late. Even if the giant beast reacts now, it can't realize this function. Just like in a game, if you deprive you of a life form, you will reduce that ability accordingly. All this is because the giant beast despised Yejuju at the beginning, which caused it to fail to complete the task of Newt controlled by the pioneers and destroy the Earth. The giant beast with only 1 main brain and 1 deputy brain left, except for its huge size, terrifying strength, rough skin, and thick flesh, no longer poses the slightest threat to Yejuju. Under the watchful eyes of Jack and other mecha hunters, Yejuju found the opportunity to move his scales, and stabbed the leatherback turtle in the forehead with the giant ice knife in his hand without hesitation. The leatherback turtle is indeed the smartest and cunning monster. 3 monster heads were killed by Yejuju, so it had already been careful. Just when Yejuju's ice blade struck down, the leatherback turtle swiftly raised the hard scales on its head. With a dang sound, the ice knife in Yejuju's hand collided with the scales of the leatherback turtle, making a sound unique to gold and iron. I see AO, I've become sperm, this is it. Yejuju cursed in surprise. But there is no need to be discouraged, because the giant beast has become a decoration and cannot hurt Yejuju. Yejuju has the patience to wait for the next movement of the giant beast's scales and use some small tricks to see how the leatherback turtle can hide. Sure enough, just when the giant beast made another move, Yejuju took the opportunity and inserted the ice blade again. However, this time, Yejuju's thrusts seemed to be very fast, but he did not use all his strength. He still had some strength left in his hand and waited for the leatherback turtle to bring the scaled forehead up, then suddenly changed the direction of the skate in his hand and plunged into it. The relatively fragile lower part of the neck. Sure enough, the leatherback turtle spotted the spot where Yejuju's skate fell, and raised its head upwards, as if it was automatically sending its hard forehead up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, Dachuan Chi. Chapter 330. Unfortunately, the skate in Yejuju's hand suddenly paused for 0.1 seconds, and the skate suddenly turned upside down. At a speed that the leatherback turtle could not react, it plunged into the neck of the leatherback turtle from bottom to top. The leatherback turtle's eyes suddenly became dull, and then it was frozen into an ice sculpture by the power of ice on the ice blade. A shrill roar of ouch was heard far away, and all 4 of the beast's accessory brains died. It was no longer as ferocious as before and became languid. However, the giant beast was not dead yet, and it seemed to have remembered something at this time. Yejuju, who no longer cared about it, started to climb towards the top of Fuji Mountain again. Seeing the giant beast making its final struggle, Yejuju was speechless. If you had been like this earlier, I really couldn't do anything to you. I remembered it at this time, but it was too late. As for how to kill the giant beast in the end, Yejuju also had an idea. Stopping Jack and others who wanted to come forward to help, Yejuju stood up from the top of the giant beast's head when he was 150 meters away from everyone. The 10-meter-long ice knife in his hand turned around, and the tip of the knife was stuck on the head of the giant beast. He frantically mobilized the ice energy in his body to rush towards the tip of the ice knife. The next moment, with the skate as the center, a large amount of white mist surged out from the skate. The temperature of the white mist was extremely low, and almost the moment it emerged, the surrounding air condensed into frost. Then, a little frost began to condense on the giant beast's head, and was broken into pieces by the movement of the scales as the giant beast crawled. But before the ice dissipated, new ice condensed quickly, making the giant beast unable to crawl at the same speed as the ice condensed. Jack and others watching from a distance, as well as General Quan and others watching via video in the base, were all stunned and felt as if they were watching a magical blockbuster. Before everyone could exclaim, the white fog had become thicker and thicker, so thick that everyone could no longer see the images in the fog. And still following Yejuju are Yejuju's 2 fused King Kong pets. The mechanical 2-headed dragon hovered 200 meters in the air, not daring to get close to the fog. The same was true for the 3-headed mechanical dogs, which were hovering 200 meters away and also did not dare to approach the mist. In the thick white mist, a layer of ice had condensed on the giant beast's head under Yejuju's ice blade, and it spread to the giant beast's body at a relatively stable speed. In just 10 minutes, the giant beast's entire head and neck were wrapped in ice, and the beast's crawling speed slowed down accordingly. Seeing that the body of the giant beast was already away from the crater, it was only a mere 1,000 meters away. Just when everyone in the base was horrified to see it, their hearts almost jumped out of their chests. The ice layer turned into thick ice cubes, eventually freezing the giant beast's body completely. And from the transparent ice, you can still see that the giant beast's front paws were frozen in the air just before they were lifted. 69shux.com. Although the whole body of the giant beast could not move, its internal organs had not actually been frozen to death. It seemed to know that it was about to die, and it roared unwillingly from the ice. Although the voice could still transmit through the ice, it obviously no longer had any power. The voice was full of sadness and unwillingness, which made Jack and others feel inexplicably sympathetic to the giant beast. Yes. Just sympathy. It's scary to think about it. The size of the giant beast was so huge, and its power was invincible on this planet, but such a powerful creature died at the hands of Yejuju. Does this mean that monsters are not strong? No. It can only be said that Yejuju is too strong, so strong that he doesn't look like a human being at all. General Quan and others can see the images transmitted through the satellite more clearly than Jack and others. It wasn't until the giant beast's body was completely frozen that they all breathed a sigh of relief. The next moment, except for General Quan, Meizi, and Xiao Liwen, who could remain calm, all the staff burst into cheers. Even the usually stoic General Quan, Meizi, and Xiao Liwen had rare smiles on their faces. Yes, they know that in the end, humans defeated the monsters and once again protected the Earth. And the biggest contributor is none other than Yejuju. A very amazing Chinese person. Yes. It's magical. Whether it's Yejuju's fighting power in driving a mecha, the mechanical creatures Yejuju conjured out of thin air, or the weapons he transformed with his bare hands, or the white mist that finally killed the giant beast, all illustrate Yejuju's magic. Yejuju also received a prompt from the system at this time. Congratulations to the host for completing the final mission. Save the world, kill all the monsters entering Tokyo, and be rewarded with 30,000 experience points and special permissions once. The special permission reward is a chance to transform the Mount Death Warrior. The transformation content is: the Death Warrior can be modified with the weapons of this world's mechas. For example, the Elbow Rocket of the Vengeance Wanderer mecha, the Morning Star -16 Hammer of the Phoenix Ranger mecha, the Arc Whip of the Heroic Protector mecha, the Back Mental Disruptor of the Rage Obsidian mecha weight. After receiving the prompt from the system, even the depression caused by the upgrade experience difference of only 200 was gone. Yejuju has no reason to be unhappy about the increase in combat power brought by special permissions to the Death Warriors. However, Yejuju had to suppress his joy temporarily. Don't forget that he still had to deal with the aftermath. He had to take advantage of this time to put all his mechanical pets into the space and then leave this world. Yes. He didn't want to stay in this world, be interrogated or even imprisoned by those representatives of power, and finally have to go to war with them. Because of his understanding of human nature, he had to be on guard. Don't think that he is safe just because he saved the world. You know, what he showed is what the humans in this world covet. No one can guarantee that such a thing will not happen if he stays. It's better to leave this world as soon as possible. Do it when you think of it. Yejuju put away the ice knife, the fog stopped increasing, and Yejuju jumped off the head of the giant beast that was frozen into an ice sculpture. Staying away from the cold air that had not yet dissipated, putting the two-headed mechanical dragon and the three-headed mechanical dog into the space, Yejuju controlled the mecha to rush down the mountain. Because Red Queen had informed him that the general had already reached the seaside, waiting for Yejuju to take it back. When Yejuju rushed down the mountain, he met Jack and others standing at the foot of the mountain, looking forward to it. Just when Jack and others were about to cheer and congratulate Yejuju, they saw Yejuju rushing past them like a gust of wind, which immediately confused Jack and others. The four mechas looked at each other and saw that the direction Yejuju ran was exactly the seaside, and they thought that another monster came from the sea. Then they took steps to chase after Yejuju. Unfortunately, Yejuju's speed was so fast that how could the mechas driven by Jack and others catch up with him? Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 331. When they chased to the beach, Yejuju had already disappeared. Diamond suit, diamond suit. Before they arrived, Yejuju caught the general who came and put him into the pet space without hesitation. Then, Yejuju came out of the Death Warrior mecha again, and when he got to the ground, he put the mecha into the mount space. With a thought, the armor on his body was put into the bracelet on his wrist. The next second, Yejuju said to the system, "System, hurry up, I want to go back to the Marvel world." After the voice fell, it was only a few seconds before Yejuju's figure disappeared at the beach. And the only people who saw Yejuju disappear were the people in the base who were chasing Yejuju through satellites. They saw this weird scene. As for how General Quan dealt with Yejuju's disappearance, it was not something Yejuju wanted to care about. Back to the Marvel world, Yejuju sat back on the bed and exhaled heavily. He calculated the gains of this mission world in his mind. Well, very good. There is one more combined King Kong, and the mount is a mecha that all men like. The level has also been upgraded to level 30, and the experience is 200 points away. The biggest improvement is the talent professional skills have been upgraded from intermediate to advanced. This is a great improvement for Yejuju. Then he thought of the special authority of the task reward, and Yejuju could not suppress his excitement and immediately transferred the Death Warrior from the mount space to the mechanical space. When Yejuju saw the Death Warrior mecha quietly staying in the mechanical space, it would be a lie to say that he was not excited. Although this kind of mecha is nothing in some worlds with advanced technology, it is still a real mecha. After taking a deep breath, Yejuju began to transform the mecha. First, the power equipment of the mecha, Yejuju replaced the reactor that was enlarged several times for his wife to provide energy for the mecha. In this way, not only the kinetic energy of the mecha was improved, but also the continuous flight time was greatly improved. Secondly, it is the weapon system of the mecha. Yejuju did not plan to keep the ion knives on the legs, but equipped 2 thermal cutting saws on the back. In this way, it would not be so abrupt to pull out the weapon from the back of the mecha. The elbow rocket of the Avenger Wanderer is an indispensable equipment for improving the combat power of the mecha, so it is naturally installed. The elastic slingshot is more useful than the arc whip, so of course the elastic slingshot is chosen. The power of the Morning Star -16 hammer is not bad, but because the mecha cannot free up both hands, Yejuju simply made it and hung it on his waist, and when he needs to use it, he can take it off and throw it to hit people. It can be regarded as a first-hand equipment for the mecha, which is better than nothing. Of course, the small rocket slot that is of little use must be replaced with a missile with less ammunition but more powerful. The vortex rail gun on the chest does not need to be changed. Naturally, the plasma cannons on both hands must also be retained. After all this busy work, the Death Warrior is also armed from head to toe. Now let's take a look at the current data of the Death Warrior. Mount, Mecha Death Warrior. Height, 68 meters. Weight, 1998 tons. Drive, reactor drive. Weapons and equipment, thermal cutting saw, vortex railgun, plasma cannon, missile nest, elbow rocket, elastic slingshot, Morning Star -16 hammer, ice magic. Well, satisfied. Yejuju put the mecha into the mount space, then got up and went to the bathroom to take a comfortable shower, and then went back to the bedroom to sleep. What he didn't know was that Loki, who was far away in the universe outside the solar system, had already met Thanos. When Thanos learned that Loki came from the 9 realms, in order to let Loki help him get the Cosmic Cube, which is the space stone among the 6 Infinity Stones. Thanos generously took out the Mind Stone and made a scepter for Loki, and promised Loki that when Loki helped Thanos get the Space Stone, he would help Loki become the king of the 9 realms. Let Odin, who looked down on him, taste the taste of regret. At this time, Loki did not know that Thanos wanted to get the gems and gloves in order to destroy half of the life in the universe. Facing the temptation given by Thanos, Loki remembered the scene of being driven out of Asgard by Odin and Yejuju, and agreed in a hurry. In order to help Loki occupy the 9 realms, Thanos also found helpers for Loki, that is, the aliens who appeared in Avengers 1, the Chitauri Legion. Of course, although Loki looked down on these appearance races with weak attack power, he still valued their pets and leviathans. Apart from anything else, just the huge size, even he had to be extremely careful to kill it. Not to mention that this kind of behemoth can also fly in the sky, which is even more advantageous. Thinking of the scene of this behemoth flying all over the sky and rushing to destroy Midgard, Loki thought of Yejuju, who brought him several humiliations. When Loki thought of Yejuju, he couldn't wait to get to Earth as soon as possible, use the cosmic cube hidden by S.H.I.E.L.D. to open the space gate and send the Chitauri army into Earth. So, Loki gladly accepted Thanos' help. After bidding farewell to Thanos, Loki asked the Chitauri army to gather near the space wormhole, and hurried back to the Nine Realms with the interstellar coordinates of the Chitauri army. The next morning, Yejuju got up from the bed and went down to the living room, and saw Sky, who was busy preparing breakfast in the kitchen. When Sky saw Yejuju coming out, he immediately greeted Yejuju happily and said, "Yeah, you are up, wait a moment, breakfast will be ready soon." After that, Sky quickly picked up the plate that had been prepared long ago and walked to the dining table. Yejuju also responded to Sky in a rare good mood, which made Sky secretly happy for a long time. The two sat together to eat breakfast, but Sky looked at Yejuju for a long time without moving, and looked hesitant, which made Yejuju, who was eating breakfast in big mouthfuls, confused. After waiting for a long time and seeing that Sky still had no intention of speaking, Yejuju finally asked, "Sky, do you have anything to say to me?" "That, I don't know how to say it, yeah. Do you feel that I am now a burden to the team?" After listening to Sky's squeaky words, Yejuju understood Sky's thoughts and thought to himself, "No wonder Sky thinks so. You know, in the current four-person team, Tony is Iron Man and a billionaire. He can be said to have both strength and financial resources, and is an indispensable backbone of the team. Not to mention himself, although he is not as rich as Tony, he is the strongest and deserves to be the number one in the team. Even the youngest Parker is a good citizen of New York and Spider-Man, a good neighbor of the New York people.